Howdy gamer. Let's go over the runes for Blitzcrank. They are like as basic as it gets for runes for a champion, man. Alrighty, the Keystone's gonna be Aftershock. Aftershock makes it so that whenever you CC a champion, you're gonna get more resistances. So anytime you hook them, knock them up, or even if you silence them, I'm pretty sure that procs Aftershock. And then it also gives you a little bit of damage. So it's pretty synergistic with Blitzcrank if you're engaging or getting engaged on. Because let's say someone gets onto you or your ally, and then you're going to use your E to knock them up. So it has offensive and then defensive capabilities. With Blitzcrank, the scaling on it might not be as strong if you choose to itemize, let's say, Righteous Glory. You'd only be getting the armor versus like Zeke's Herald that would give you armor and magic resist. In general, Blitzcrank's just like less tanky than the other supports, but Aftershock still makes you like more durable, and then the cooldown being so low makes it so that anytime you would land a hook or take a trade in lane, it's probably going to be up. In terms of a team fight, you're basically only going to get it off once though, so you better try to make it count. But that's easier said than done with Blitzcrank, as you're usually just waiting to hook someone, and then you've isolated them, and then the Aftershock's down. So once you start tanking damage, the Aftershock may be down. So it's something to keep track of on Blitzcrank, as it's not the most synergistic thing, but again, it just makes you tankier. So the most dominant Keystone. Any of the damage runes you could try to run wouldn't work out. Predator would be a cheesy option, but again, not so useful. So Keystone, Aftershock. Secondary rune's going to be Font of Life. Whenever you slow or CC someone, you're going to mark them, and then whenever your allies auto attack them, then they're going to heal for just a little bit. But throughout a 2v2 bot lane, you could proc this about 3 times. You hook, you knock up, and then you silence, and then you probably knock up again. Then your AD carry is going to heal just a little bit. It makes it so that even if, say, you're playing against an enchanter, a AD carry that would outrange your AD carry, if your AD carry takes any little bits of damage, the minuscule amount of healing that Font of Life does is pretty nice in terms of sustaining them in a fight, as Relic Shield doesn't heal anymore, and Blitzcrank has no heals or shields in his kit to like really assist his AD. So having this little bit helps, especially with hyper carries like Varus, Kog'Maw, etc. And then Demolish lost a lot of value coming into Season 10 as the turret plating's worth less. And then you're actually not going to get many opportunities to proc it in the laning phase. So that loses value. Shield Bash, I mean, you do have a shield, but you don't really have options to proc it yourself. So Font of Life, easiest to use, and then highest value in this row. All 3 options in the third row in the resolve tree are pretty good. Conditioning give you more stats. Second Wind, you heal more damage, basically negating poke. And then Bone Plating helps you against melee champions, as you block initial damage. So the 2 default ones you should be looking for is Second Wind and Bone Plating. They're the easiest to use, and then they also just make you tankier throughout a laning phase. Second Wind being the most useful for Blitzcrank, as his HP regen's pretty bad, and then he takes more damage. Because he has the advantage of like hooking and then winning that all in, but then he has the disadvantage if the enemy is damaging him at any point other than that. So Second Wind helps negate this, even if you're not against a ranged support. If you're outranged by a champion like Caitlyn or something, Second Wind makes it so that your approaches to threaten hooks, if the enemy retaliates or like calls your bluff, then your HP, the cost of your HP is like not so bad with Second Wind, plus health potions, plus maybe biscuits. So Bone Plating would only be useful if you're into, say, Nautilus, Leona, champions that could engage onto you and then actually be a threat. So against those melee matchups, you can look to run this. Now against a matchup like, let's say, Morgana, where Morgana like technically beats Blitzcrank, but she can't really win the laning phase on her own. So she negates Blitzcrank's ability to like just like run it into the enemy and hook on cooldown, but she doesn't like necessarily just hard win the lane against Blitzcrank. So if you run something like Conditioning, come mid game, like you're just going to be substantially tankier. It's not like wildly like tankier, but you will just have more stats, and then you have multiplicative stats because of the percentage increase as well. So let's say you complete Zeke's Herald, and then every time you proc Aftershock, you're just going to have more armor and magic resist. So it's an interesting option, but it's harder to use, and If you don't like find yourself comfortable like running it, or you can't identify the matchups, just go second win. It's fine in all the matchups. So yeah. The fourth rune, you have the good options of Unflinching or Overgrowth. I would defaultly go with Overgrowth, as it just simply gives you more health throughout a laning phase. This makes it so that whenever you're near minions that die, you're going to get more bonus health. But then basically what this does, once you've absorbed 120 minions that died around you, then you're going to get a maximum bonus health increase. So this basically gives you like a ruby crystal come mid game. And for support, it's so important to get like any free tankiness you can get. And that's the reason you're running Aftershock too. So Overgrowth giving you that much free health is so weird that this is even like an option. So yeah, abuse it while it's still here. Unflinching's good on Blitzcrank though, as it gives you tenacity and slow resist. Whenever you use a summoner spell too, so let's say you hook and ignite, it's going to give you slow resist and tenacity. Your W is a self slow, which is super weird for a champion. Blitzcrank's a really old champion, so like you help negate that self slow, and then you help yourself like stick onto the target that you hooked if the enemy has like any sort of retaliation, any slow, any CC, etc. So Unflinching's an okay option, especially into melee supports. So you can consider it over Overgrowth. But yeah, against like enchanter supports, no reason to run Unflinching though. Secondary runes, you have some interesting options. If you're against melees, Presence of Mind plus Tenacity. Presence of Mind giving you more maximum mana per takedown, and then Legend of Tenacity just giving you more tenacity that builds up throughout the game. So this is a good option against like say Leona, because if she ever spends abilities on you, like you're just really not going to feel it. And then Presence of Mind giving you more mana actually gives you more HP because of Blitzcrank's passive as well. So that's a super weird, interesting option. Anything in the domination tree is pretty wasted. Like you could run something like this, but it's super low value. Same with the sorcery tree. Like you could run something like this, but good luck stacking up mana flow. It's really not worth it. Nimbus Cloak is kind of interesting on Blitzcrank though, as it gives you more movement speed whenever you use a summoner spell. So anytime you flash, anytime you ignite. So whenever you hook a target, especially in the laning phase, you hook ignite, they're going to flash away. Having the extra movement speed makes it so like you can run them down and then potentially get a second E off on them. Kind of cheesy. And then Transcendence would give you more CDR at level 10. So having more hooks mid game might be useful. It's more useful in a team fight for sure. But the more common runes that you're going to want to run like every single game, as these are the most reliable and then the most like the highest value basically, is Hextech Flash and then Biscuits. Hextech Flash makes it so that whenever your flash is on cooldown, you can channel, and then you basically just move like, let's say 3 Teemos forward. And the power of this in the laning phase makes it so that you can always flash hook and almost get a guaranteed kill in the bot lane with Blitzcrank. And then once your flash is on cooldown, you can sit in a bush on a control ward and then channel this, pop out of the bush, and then be in range or be at an angle in which you can hit a hook on the enemy trying to CS. So it's a super, super abusive tool in solo queue, as nobody's going to be expecting you to like pop out of the bush like that until you do it once. But so long that you hit the first hook out of it, you know, enemy's going to be mad. You start the lane 2-0, you flash hook them once and you do that, you've probably just won the game anyways. Biscuit Delivery makes it so that you restore missing health and then gain maximum mana. And then you can also sell these. So these helps with all ends if you happen to get in them, in which it would like come down to the smallest amounts of HP. And then if you don't end up using the biscuits in the laning phase, then you can sell them. You still get the maximum mana increase, but then they also give you a little bit of extra health. So, or a little bit of extra gold. And then the gold is basically just like it like supplements your control word cost. That's about it. It could also help you get to Moby Boots faster. You could also run Futures Market to rush Moby Boots as well. Very good option on Blitzcrank, because you don't need biscuits, but they are like easier as they give you more HP and more mana throughout the laning phase. And then for secondary runes, I'd recommend CDR, Armor, Magic Resist. CDR just giving you more hooks, more knockups. This gives you about 6% come mid game, and then 3% of CDR throughout the laning phase. So Blitzcrank hook is on a massive cooldown, So having the even just like 3% CDR does help its cooldown reduction, and then come mid game, it's even more. And then your entire job is just to get 2 hooks off in a team fight, basically. And then armor and magic resist to help you negate any source of damage, period. Because that's basically Blitzcrank's job. Hook the target, and then eat damage and die, basically. You could run Adaptive Force armor, and then run Relic Shield. The extra AP would be nice. If you're into an Enchanter matchup, maybe just run this, as you're going to be dealing more damage whenever you hook them. But the AP is only going to give you more damage on your hook and then on your ult. So it makes you significantly weaker early, and in solo queue, you really don't want that. So these are the default runes I recommend. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I answer every single question in the comments. If you're interested in support gameplay, you can check out my Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Sawyer Nelson. Come start of the season 10, I'll probably just be spamming Senna, so come check me out there. Again, the only variation would be this. Pretty good into melees. So yeah, Blitzcrank, one of the more basic rune setups in the game. Not much to it. So yeah, if this video helped you, leaving a like helps, but if not, bye. See ya. Subscribe maybe. I don't give a shit. Dude, bye. See ya. See you later.